So tonight I was going to talk about loneliness with you. What is loneliness? So alone apparently derives from all one. So alone, to be all one. So it's quite interesting that those two words are connected, all one and alone. And then we've got loneliness. Loneliness. I think it's one of humanity's fundamental fears of being alone, of not being part of a group, of being abandoned and being alone and having to do things for yourself. Like all by yourself, not having someone to talk to or be intimate with. I think a lot of people maintain relationships, hold on to relationships, stay in relationships that are abusive, stay close to family that don't treat them well, simply because they don't want to be alone. They're afraid of being alone. So to me, loneliness comes from the heart chakra. And there is a natural loneliness that can arise. Like we are communal animals and we do have a tendency to group together. So there can be a natural loneliness that arises. And then there can be this seeking loneliness. So this identity that lives inside of the head and feels like it's someone separate and it's got an experience and it's its life, and that person doesn't want to be alone. And that person is afraid of being alone. But it's not always conscious that that's what it's afraid of. What it actually might feel like in seeking and going out into the world is it might feel like great happiness or great joy because you've found someone that completes you and stops you feeling lonely. Like you've got friends, you've got attention, you've got family, you've had a kid. So it actually might feel like joy and ecstasy. But on the other side of it, for that person, the person fears being alone. That if it's alone, basically it won't exist. It doesn't think that, but that's what it's afraid of not existing. That you won't exist. So in a way, you could say loneliness is closely related to the death of self. Because who are you when there's no relationships to other people? Who do you become? Like you've only become someone by being in relationship to other things, other people. If you'd never spoken human and if you'd never had relationships before, more than likely the identity wouldn't arise. Like it comes from being in relationship. You are someone in relationship to them, and then you tell them stories about you and they tell you stories about them. And there's a belief that that's who you are. And that person, that false identity, always feels like it's missing something, because it is, because that's not who you truly are. That's a lie. So there's always the stone in the shoe, feeling like there must be something else. So what else is there? All one. So beyond that person that feels lonely, that's trying to fill that hole, that's trying to hold on to relationships or hold on to events or hold on to scenarios or to live in this story of itself in order to not be naked and vulnerable and here. So what else is there? There is something beyond that. There is something which is you, that's got nothing to do with you having relationships or friendships or intimacy. There's something beyond the end of loneliness happening in time, and that's happening right here. It's that which is experiencing now. It's the most closest sense of being. It's so intimate and alive and vital and free. It's right here. In this, there is no loneliness. In this, everything is touching you. Everything is you. There is no separation from it. So your refuge in time, your refuge in the other person, your refuge in friendships, in relationships, is a false refuge. It's something that keeps you seeking and keeps you as an identity in time. Your refuge is this moment. It's the intimacy of what's happening. Right here, the feeling of the bum on the seat, the back on the chair, the breeze, the coolness of the air, your organs. In this moment, there is no loneliness. Right here, there's no loneliness. Right here, there's intimacy. So this loneliness on the human level comes from the heart chakra. So let me just explain to you what the heart chakra is. In the positive, it's a sense of being loved. It's a sense of feeling part of the group. It's a sense of feeling appreciated. It's a sense of feeling like you have something to give, feeling like your gifts are received, feeling like people respect you and love you, and that you have a community. It's a feeling of love, being in love with another, intimacy. And then on the negative side, it is, or on the negative side, but it doesn't necessarily mean negative. It's meant to go positive and negative. So in order for you to navigate around the world, it's just when you identify with it and believe that's who you are and forget your true being of presence that it becomes a problem. So on the negative side, it's you feel unloved, you feel that you're not lovable, that you're not part of the group, that you've got nothing to give, nothing to offer, that you'll be kicked out, you'll be abandoned, you'll be alone. Nobody appreciates you, that you're not good enough, feeling isolated. And what that can present, if you can't actually feel the emotions there, is it just can be like a tightness and a soreness there, like a pain there, like an aching, a stabbing, and then it can also be emotion as well. And it's so good to get to know your body, because then you get to know what your body's saying. You know, when you interact with someone, so if you're not identified, when you interact with someone, do they make you feel lonely? Do they make you feel appreciated? Like, what's your response to them? So then you can begin to understand what you're feeling with someone, like in every moment. But when there's an identification with it and you believe that that's who you are, and then there's a seeking, what your seeking will do is it will always try to maintain the positive of the chakra. So it will always try to maintain love in every instant. And then it will have this desperate energy that's trying to find love. So when you're talking to someone and say they're not appreciating you or they're not respecting you, then maybe you're trying super hard to get them to love you or to appreciate you. Like you're seeking to get that validation. And that's when it begins to make the chakra out of balance, when you believe that's who you are and that you're going to find completion and home in that feeling. Whereas really the completion, the home that you're looking for is right here. It's right now. It's who you are. And that's a feeling that arises and that will come and go, and it's pleasurable and painful, but it's not who you are. Who you are is this moment. Who you are is innocence, that which is looking out now.